Jarvis was born in the struggle. Those of you who had an opportunity to interact with him on Zoom and with the mom, you know that the mom has been in most social, active, politically movements in the black community. Name them, she's been in it. From the United Front, working with the late Congressman Mickey Leland to all of that. So that was the setting in which he was born. And the mom is still active. As a matter of fact, she's been bestowed with the singular honor of Mama Diapra. She's helping us a lot. Mr. Jarvis is a grassroots person. He started from the grassroots as you can be, in the local level, in city council, in the state. So he understands politics, and he understands how to leverage power. In his first term as a freshman state rep, he was able to pass many significant legislation in Texas. Although Texas is controlled by a Republican legislature, he knows how to wield power, he knows how to mobilize power. But the most important thing is that he has volunteered himself to help us. Let us be clear, we haven't paid him a penny and he hasn't asked for a penny. God willing, one day we'll get there. But he's been traveling with us, as his schedule permits, he's been traveling with us across the country, talking to Igbo groups, talking to other people, and he's interacted in some respect with Professor Joffo and he was invited to come here. So without much ado, all of these things that we have been looking for up, today I'm glad to introduce you to Representative Jarvis Johnson, who is going to lead us to the promised land of exercising and leveraging political power in this country. Please give a round welcome to my brother.
Igbo Kuna! Igbo Kuna! Igbo Kuna! I bring you greetings in the name of my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for all the work that he has done to bring me this far. I thank Attorney Okor for the warm welcome. In the absence of Sister Ada Brown, I certainly appreciate her activism for bringing me into this new family that I have adopted as my own, regardless of whether you want me or not. You are now my family. I am State Representative Jarvis Johnson. I'm from Houston, Texas, as attorney has already pointed out. H-Town. On the north side of H-Town, what they call the North, and what they call the Fofo. That's Acres Homes for some of you who may be from Houston. But my work extends from my mother's activism and the sacrifice that she has made all throughout her life. I often tell people about a very bad drug problem that I had as a kid that my mother gave me, and she'll be upset that I'm telling you this in her absence. But because I had a very bad drug problem made me the man that I am today. That drug problem was the problem she gave me because she drugged me everywhere I did not want to be. I didn't want to go to church, she drugged me to church. When I was acting bad at school, she drugged me out the classroom. She did everything she could to give me that drug problem. And I thank her for that drug problem. Because she raised me the way I was supposed to be raised. Because in the Bible it says, train a child up in the way that you would have him go. It didn't say just let him grow up. It said train. And I thank God that my mother trained me, because she trained me to be a fighter for those who cannot fight for themselves, a fighter for those who don't have the voice, a fighter for those who don't have the power. Because my life is about sacrifice, and we as brothers and sisters have to always sacrifice personally if we want to see the gain of our people. And this is where we are today. I was brought to be a part of this organization simply because of the unrest and the unjust happenings that is happening, not only just in Nigeria, but even what's happening here. I truly believe that civilization started in Africa, and civilization will be saved by Africans. But there is a move afoot by the colonizers of Africa to stop Africans and black people all over this world from being the powerful beings that we are. But what brought me to this point was the resolve and the resiliency of a people that wouldn't allow oppressors to simply oppress you. You left from your motherland to come to America in search of a better way, in search of a better life. But the one thing that I'm most impressed about is the fact that my brothers and sisters always reach back. You take your wealth that you've gained here and you continue to send your money, your resources back home. Unfortunately, colonizers are stopping that. And so it's become very apparent that we have to work harder and more diligently than ever. We can't just continue to talk about what we want to do, and we certainly can't wait for others to do for us what we need to be doing for ourselves. And that is to come together to bring our resources, to bring our finances, and to bring our political power to the forefront. Because that is the only way that we will achieve the goals that we have set for freedom. As attorney has already pointed out, as a state representative, I've passed a lot of bills in the state house. I didn't pass those bills because I was cute. I didn't pass those bills because I knew how to dress nice. I passed those bills because I understood the political power that came with me as a black man. And so being in a Republican state house, I was able to pass bills across the aisle. They didn't want to pass my bills. They fought to stop many of my bills. Some of the bills that I dealt with were sickle cell. I don't know if anybody knows about sickle cell. Anybody know about sickle cell? Of course you know about sickle cell. It affects black people all over the world. And so you understand that they didn't have empathy and understanding of what it meant to have sickle cell. They didn't understand how a black person can walk into a hospital in pain, in crisis, simply to get service, simply to get medical attention. And they're turned away because they said they're drug seeking. They're not drug seeking, they're looking for help. And so my colleagues never understood that, and so they said, that bill is not important. And because they thought my bill wasn't important, I set out to show them how important it was by making sure I stopped every bill they put forth until they passed my bill. How did I do that? I then got with all of my colleagues, the other black brothers and sisters that are state representatives in the state of Texas, the other Democrats in the state of Texas, and we came together and said we won't pass or we won't vote on not one of their bills. And then they understood, wait a minute, wait a minute. We want to build a good old border wall to keep them folks out of our country, out of our land. But we wasn't gonna let them build that border wall. And we still don't want them to build that border wall, but sometimes you gotta give and you gotta take. And so we worked together, and that's how we were able to get those bills passed. That's how we're gonna be able to seek the freedom that we desire. We're seeing how the colonizers have used our own brothers and sisters against us, to imprison a leader that simply said, we simply want freedom. And so in that brother looking for and desiring freedom for his people, they decided to imprison Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. For what reason? The same reason they wanted to imprison Malcolm X, the same reason they killed Martin Luther King, the same reason they go after every black leader that we have, the same reason they killed Mickey Leland, simply because he wanted to feed a bunch of starving kids in Somalia and in Ethiopia. Because they didn't want him doing a simple work of giving humans the right that they rightfully deserve. A right to live without oppression, a right to food. When we understood how and why food was not being given to those countries. And because Mickey did a great work, they decided to take that brother out. I made a conscious decision that I understand that the fight that I'm going to take on may be a dangerous one. But if I, like everybody else, decided that my own personal freedom was more important than the success of my people, then we'll never get anywhere. And so I made the conscious decision to be a part of this, to continue to bring to the forefront the travesty that is happening in Nigeria, the genocide that is happening, the killings, the rapings that is happening. We must stop that, but we can't stop that with marches in the streets. All of us coming together and marching in the street just simply gives them an opportunity to have target practice, to shoot and kill each and every one of us. How do we make them understand our power? Politically and economically. Martin Luther King set out because they wouldn't let Rosa Parks sit in the front of the bus. And they imprisoned her. And that young man who was 20-something years old did not want to take on this fight, but said he understood why it was important. And the way they brought Montgomery, Alabama to its knees is because black folk in that city said, we ain't riding the bus. And the bus line was a revenue source. And when they started to see that, wait a minute, we can't keep doing this, because if we do, then we're not going to make the money. And that's how we're going to see success. So through the work of the Biafran Advocacy Group, I am looking to create political power here in Texas and across the United States. I'm told when I look online and I see the number of black folk number of Nigerians that are in Texas, they tell me it's about 30,000 people. Google it.
Houston only.
Google it.
More than that.
Google it.
More than that.
Google it. The reason why they tell you it's only 30,000 is because why? They don't want you to realize the power that you have. And if you start realizing that there are 1 million Nigerians living here in the United States, then they understand how can you effectively change the political landscape of this country. Because we as black people, black Americans, there's so many different issues that we have. We want to fight for business opportunity. We want to fight for, freedom of this and freedom of that. And there's so many different issues that we got to fight for, which gives them an opportunity to divide and then conquer us. Because they'll go to a few of our leaders and give them a few dollars. But what my Igbo brothers and sisters have is one desire, And that is for the freedom of your land home, because they overlook your power. Now, the only way we're going to get America to take notice of that is that we have to send a clear and strong message. The Jews have already given us the roadmap. How? What did the Jews do that was so phenomenal? They economically changed the landscape of America. They started financing political campaigns all over this country. And then the leaders who were running for office started hearing. But through BAG and through the Biafran Advocacy Group, if the million Igbos that are here, and I don't know how many it is, they said it's only 30,000. But if you decided under one auspices, under one goal, under one mission, is to get Joe Biden to hear our cry. And if we say we got 1 million votes, what's gonna happen?
He gonna listen. He gonna listen.
How many Igbos and Nigerians are in Texas? I'm gonna just let you tell me. How many?
More than 500.
500,000 in Texas?
It's more than that.
In Texas? 500,000. Here's my point. If you tell me 500,000, I'm gonna stick with that. In Texas, we got a governor's race coming up. There's a governor's race coming up in November. Anybody heard of the Abbott governor? Because he would choose to divide and conquer people than he would to bring them together. But if all Igbos and Nigerians in Texas decided to vote and came together, and we even chose to go and talk to Abbott, and if Abbott said, I will do all that I can, I will support your candidate back home for president, I will support your mission, I will put an embargo on Nigerian oil. Holy crap, what did I just say? I will put an embargo on Nigerian oil. What will happen? Everybody in this room would vote for Abbott, wouldn't you? Even though he's an idiot, but he still is sympathetic to your cries. Now, I'm certainly not going to ask any of you to support Abbott, but there's another one called Beto who's running against him. And he's more in line to do what we know we need him to do. Because we know what Abbott is going to do. Abbott will tell us anything he needs us to hear and then go on about his business. But I guarantee you we will change the outcome and the landscape of how politics is done. The one thing that they always do is they overlook and underestimate the power of the black vote. They always overlook. And so politically is where our power will come. We can pray all day long. Everybody here is a believer? Everybody here is a believer? And everybody has faith that our God and our Lord and Savior will protect us, correct? But also in the Bible it says faith without works is dead. And so we can continue to pray on our knees while others are doing the work. And we're waiting on the success that we desire to have, when that's not going to happen. We have to come together as a people, financially and through our vote, to create the freedom and to create the power to start making a change. And it can happen right here today. I know everybody in this room. What are you? How many in here? Let's just say it's 100. Everybody in here knows 10 people that you can all go and rally. So that's 1,000 people. Those 1,000 people know another 10 people. Those numbers will continue to multiply. because while it may be 1 million of you, it's still a small community, is it not?
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you, just in this room alone, we can touch every Igbo and every Nigerian in this state.
That's right.
Just in this room alone. So I thank you for the work that the World Igbo Congress is doing today. But if we walk out of this room without having the mission and the goal of having the political and the financial power that we have, and we don't use it, then that's our fault. Because all of you in here, and I'm looking at you, you smell rich, you look rich. See, I've been, my mother wears, the garb all the time, and that's some expensive stuff. Y'all got some, that's expensive stuff. So I know what you got. But what I'm afraid of is that we put our emphasis and we put our priorities in the wrong place.
Yes.
We start getting Americanized and we start worrying about the car that we drive. We start worrying about the position that we have. We start worrying about the house and where we're living. We no longer desire to live next to each other because we think living someplace else next to somebody else makes us more important. But yet, at the end of the day, they still want to steal everything you got, but you wanted to give everything you had away so that you can assimilate to them when they truly want to look like you. That's why they all go sit out there in the sun and tan all day long, get melanoma all day long. That's why now they go put butt injections in their butt and put lip injections in their lip, and that's why they go curl their hair. Because they want to look like us, but yet they told us we ugly. And so we have to leave from here today with a goal. And I'm going to challenge every one of you to be a part of what I'm trying to create. Because as my brother James already pointed out, this is a mission and a struggle of love for me. I have not asked for a dime. I have not desired, and I have traveled all over. I was under the weather. I just got back from LA yesterday. I was under the weather. And I almost said I wasn't gonna come. But I traveled from Houston today in the midst of a storm that was happening in Houston. And I drove these 3.5 hours because it was only supposed to take 2.5, but the traffic and the weather was so bad. But that's what's most important to me. Have that water, please. That's what's important to me. And if it's that important for me to make that sacrifice, then I'm asking you to make that same sacrifice. That you become a part of what we're trying to do. That you find your way to become a part of BAG, you find your way to become a part of this political action group, and we financially start looking at how we lobby elected officials and we hold them accountable. Not to go knock on their door, to simply say, if you don't listen to us, we will vote you out. You no longer can live in this country and think you can just fly under the radar, do your business, because most of you in here are business owners, most of you are, I know everybody in here is educated, because the one thing that I know through my own studies is Nigerians are the most educated folk in the world.
Yes.
They want to tell you you're all scammers. They want to tell you about the one or two brothers and sisters that decide to say, if you send me $120, I will be glad to send you $1 million once I get it. I know that ain't no Nigerians. I know that's the Russians. I know that's the FBI and the CIA. If this is live, I'm in trouble because I know they're going to start hearing me now. But I know that's not us. But they're telling you what is wrong with you. But do you ever hear on American media how educated you are? They never talk about Nigerians being the most educated brothers and sisters in the world. right here in the United States, which we're supposed to have the smartest people in the world. But they never say, all of you PhDs and all of you doctors and all of you lawyers and all of you chiropractors and engineers and all of that. They never talk about that. They don't even talk about the genocide that happens in Nigeria, but yet we're supposed to be the land of democracy, where we're supposed to fight for democracy all over this world. We went into Afghanistan and tried to free them. We go into Iraq, we go into Iran, now we over in Ukraine trying to support them, we over in Taiwan, we're trying to support everybody else, but why in the world are we not supporting our brothers and sisters back home to go and attack the colonized leadership that is put in place, that has become an authoritarian government that uses their power as their own little fiefdom to do whatever they desire to do. And yet we still sit here and do nothing about it because we have not attacked them where it hurts. Because I guarantee you, where you live, in your beautiful homes, in all of your cities where you live, that you haven't made a point to call your elected official and say, I need your help. But that's my job now. It is my job. I've already had a conversation with Beto. I've already told him. Abbott is going to get white votes. 50% of all white folk are going to vote for Abbott. 50% of all white folk are going to vote for Beto. 50% of all Hispanics are going to vote for Abbott. Why my Hispanic brothers and sisters vote for it, I don't know. But I happen to believe why, but I ain't going to get into that. That's a whole nother story for another day. But 50% are going to vote for Abbott. 50% is going to vote for Beto. But 90% of black folk going to vote for Beto. And 10% going to vote for. And I asked him, so why are you overlooking the black vote? And now there's even a larger subsection of people that will make a difference. Because when we talk about the black vote, they're not even thinking and considering my African brothers and sisters. They definitely don't talk about you. Because they want you to believe that you're part of the American fact. You've made it. You come here and you've done wonderful. You pulled yourself up by your own bootstraps. You got your education. You've done wonderfully. So don't complain. Just simply do your job and go home and live your life. But I'm going to tell you, all of you dark-skinned brothers and sisters, when that cop gets behind you, he don't know if you Igbo, he don't know if you Nigerian, he don't know what you are. He just see a black face. And all of you in your nice cars, that's all they see. And that's why we must become more politically active. And so again, I'm going to ask each and every one of you to be a part of what we're doing. Find your way to start making the sacrifice that you need to make to help me to become the political power that we desire to have, that we can then change what goes on in this state, that then will change what happens back home. That is going to be our charge for today. Each and every one of you can do that. Each and every one of you can find within you $10 a month, $20 a month. If you make more than that, $100 a month, $1,000 a month. That's the sacrifice that we must make. Because if you cannot sacrifice that, don't complain. Because I know each and every one of you we got that dispensable income that we use on everything else but for the freedom and the liberation of our own people. I'm not demonizing any of you. I'm only giving it to you real. Don't fall victim to what my black American brothers and sisters have done and become indoctrinated into this country so much that they forgot to fight. because they moved away and they just thought, I'm gonna move away from my problems. My income is gonna help me get out of my problems. It's not gonna happen. I think I'm a successful black man. I've been a city council member. I'm a business owner. I've been all over the world. And yet, I still get pulled over by the police. And if it's not for my little card that says I'm a state representative or my license plate that says I'm a state representative, I think that story would be different. Back in 2015, I was traveling down Shepherd in my city, in my own district. And a police officer got behind me. I turned into a gas station. He got out of his car within 2 steps. He pulled out his gun, walked to me and said, "What the fuck are you doing?" Excuse my language. Excuse my language. I had to give it to you the way it was given to me. And he put a gun to my head. For what? You know why? Because he could. And even when I made a report to Internal Affairs, they said he was doing his job. Wow. He was just doing his job. He didn't know who was in the car. And I said, yeah, he did. He said my windows were up and my windows were too darkly tinted. But when I showed them the video, which they did not know I had, because their little dash cam wasn't working, conveniently wasn't working, but you're doing a traffic stop at 9 o'clock at night, but your video is not where I thought all y'all supposed to be carrying body cams and dash cams. But when I got the video and I showed them the video and I said, do you see my window up or down? You can clearly see my window is down. I had on a lime green shirt. I had just left from my restaurant. I had too much money on me as a black man on Shepherd Drive. I had about $7,000 on me. Once my stop, and after they had handcuffed me, threw me in the back of the car and let me out, I had about $4,000. But that's neither here nor there. And I say that to you because to see how all of you responded to the $4,000 or the $3,000 that I lost, I told them I don't give about the money. I care more about my life. I can always make more money. But this is why political power is necessary, so that we can get rid of individuals like that. But we got lost. But my brothers and sisters, you here today, we got one goal. We're here for the liberation and power of our people. But we'll never get it unless we sacrifice and give what we need to give to then go before every elected official, not only in this state, but in this country, to demand that they now listen to us. They'll never listen to us simply because we're marching. That's easy. It's easy to say, oh, I see you niggas marching. And that's it. But until we decide to say, I got 1 million votes, that's gonna change that. Now all of a sudden they're gonna change their tune. So I'm challenging each and every one of you today. Support the efforts that we have. And if you would support that, you can get with my brother, James, and we can talk more about what BAG is. Let me apologize for all my colorful language. But this is what is happening every single day. And if you don't realize that because you don't feel it, does not mean it's not happening. Our brothers and sisters back home are dying every single day. How do we stop the killings? We need help to get a new president in place that the colonizers don't have their hands on or have their hooks into. And if we get a leader that is free in thought and economically independent, then we will get the freedom that we have and the freedom that we desire. So brothers and sisters, I'm gonna stop right there. I wanna thank you for allowing me just to give you a few moments of what I had to say. but I hope that this does not mean this is the last time that we will have an opportunity to interact, because I am here for the long haul. It doesn't matter. We will continue this fight day in and day out until freedom is recognized. Thank you, and may God bless you.
All right. You heard it from the state representative, their brother from another mother.